So we're currently in the process of putting some finishing touches on our API. And one of the things that we need to do now is to fix some of the authentication and authorization in all our resources. And we're going to start here with our tour resource. And since all the authentication and authorization stuff is always defined on the route declarations, well, we're going to work here on the tour routes file. So this tours API that we have here is basically what we want to expose to the world. So for example, we might want to allow other travel sites to embed our tours into their own websites. And so that's what this API is basically for. And so therefore, we will not have any authorization on get tour requests, right? And so we should actually get rid of the one that we have currently, right? So this one. So on getting all the tours, right now we have it protected. And so only authenticated users can use that, okay? But again, that doesn't make much sense because we want to expose this part of the API to everyone. So let's get rid of that. However, the actions of creating or editing tours, we only want to allow lead guides and administrators to perform these actions. So of course, no normal users and also no normal guides. So just admins and lead guides. And so let's put that here actually. Auth controller dot protect and auth controller dot restrict to admin and lead guide. Give it a save here, and that looks just fine. And next up, we want to do the same with editing, right? So we already did that actually in deleting, and so let's just copy what we have here to patch as well. Give it a save, and now that actually looks perfect. Okay? So everything else, even getting just one single tour here, is of course free to everyone. Okay? And the same goes for getting the top tours and also getting the tour statistics. Now here about the get monthly plan, well, we also might want to restrict that only, for example, to everyone except normal users. Okay? So let's copy this one here as well. Give it a save, and then also add the normal guides. All right, and so that looks perfect at this point, I think. Okay, so basically our tour router is now completed. Perfect. And I'm not going to test all of this because we already know that it works. All right, so let's close this one and move straight to the next one. So these first routes here are of course open to everyone. So signing up, logging in, forget password, and reset password. For none of these, you need to be logged in, right? But you need to be logged in, so to be authenticated, to update your password, to get your own information, to update or to delete your own account, and really for all these other operations here as well. So we don't want the public to basically get information about all the users. We also don't want anyone to delete users or to update users, and really none of these operations here should be free for the public, okay? So for all of these routes here, starting from this point, you will always have to be authenticated, all right? And so we could now go ahead and add this auth controller .protect to all of these routes. But actually, we can do better than that, right? So in order to do that, let's keep in mind that this protect function here is really just a middleware. And also remember that middleware runs always in sequence, right? Now this router that we have here, that we created in the beginning, is kind of like a mini application. Remember that? And so just like with the regular app, we can use middleware on this router as well, okay? And so we can do something like this. Router.use, and now auth controller.protect. And that's it. And what this will do is to basically protect all the routes that come after this point. Okay? And again, that's because middleware runs in sequence. And so after these 4 middleware function, because remember that technically this is still also middleware, then the next middleware in the stack is this protect. And this will then only call the next middleware if the user is authenticated. And the next middleware in this case is this patch here. Okay? And so again, what this means is that all of these routes, so all of these middlewares technically, that come after this one are now protected. And so we can go ahead and remove this protect from all of them. Okay? And just to prove you that this now still works, let's just go ahead and get the me information. So basically the current user. So if I now run this, you see that it still works. And if I take away the authentication, then it says we are not logged in. And so that's exactly what that protect middleware does. Right? So it's now going to be back to working. So perfect. That's a nice little trick in order to protect all of the routes at the same time, simply by using a middleware that comes before all of these other routes. Okay? And for example, if we now move this a little bit up, like this, for example, then we would also need to be logged in order to use forgot password, right? So let me just prove that to you. Okay? And so usually, of course, we do not need to be logged in order to forget our password, because that wouldn't make any sense, right? But right now, since we moved that middleware a bit up, it says you're not logged in. Okay? And so really, that proves that this auth controller here is doing its job. So protect all routes after this middleware. Okay, now also remember how we said that all of these actions here should only be executed by administrators. And so now we can actually use the exact same technique that we used up here to protect all of these routes. So router.use auth controller .restrict to admin. Okay, and so now only admins will be able to get all users, to create new users, to get users again, and to patch and delete users. All right, and so from this point on, all the routes are not only protected, but also restricted only to the admin. But of course, the ones that come before, everyone who is logged in can access them. Okay, so let me just prove that to you. So I'm going to log in, not with admin, but with test user. Okay, and so we got logged in successfully. Now let's try to see all the users. And now it says you're not logged in. Well, we are actually logged in. But we forgot to add the authorization here. So bearer token, send it again, and now we see you do not have permission to perform. But now, when we change this to the administrator, so we log in as an admin now, and now as we get all the users, then of course it works. So, perfect. And that actually finishes the authentication and authorization for these users as well. But just to reflect that in Postman, let's actually go back and so basically put the authorization here everywhere. Okay? And again, that's because later on we're going to create an API documentation based on the collection that we created here. And then it's important that we actually mark these one here as protected. So let's save it. Save this one as well. And the same for update and delete user. So bearer token, save, and the same for update. All right. And actually, since we're doing that, let's do the same with all the others. So not the reviews. That one is for a bit later. but really for the tours. So here we no longer need any authentication. So let's save that. For getting, we also don't need any authorization, but for creating, we now need the bearer token. Okay, also for updating. And so it makes sense to protect them here in Postman as well. Now this one already had it, because we actually used this one to test it in the first place. So this one did not have it, but the get monthly plan, we protected this one as well. So add the bearer token here as well. And so I believe with this, we are really completed now with these two. And so all we need to do to finish now this part is here fix the same thing on the reviews as well. And the first thing that I want to do is to basically protect all of the routes which have to do with reviews. So we want no one who is not authenticated to get or to post or to change or to delete any reviews. Okay? We say router.use authentication controller.protect. Okay? And so that means that from this point, no one can access any of these routes without being authenticated. So we can remove this part here. Okay? And so now with authentication out of the way, let's think about authorization. So first of all, only users should be able to post reviews. No guides and also no administrators. And so this part, we actually already have that here. Okay? Then admins should be able to update or to delete reviews just like regular users, of course, so that they can then edit or delete their own reviews. And finally, guides cannot add, edit, or delete reviews, since the guides are the ones who are performing the job. So it would be weird if they could post reviews themselves or edit other people's reviews, right? And so let's put what we just described into code. So basically patch and delete are restricted to users, or actually just user and admin. And then the same thing for deleting. Okay, and so you see that now guides and delete guides have nothing to do at all with reviews. All they can do is to really get reviews, but not changing or posting them at all. Okay, and so quickly now in Postman, let's put that here as well. So create new reviews already has the authorization. Get all reviews also needs it now. So the bearer token, save that. Here the bearer token as well. All right. And also get one single review. Actually, let's nicely order this as well, so that all of them are kind of in the same order. And now about these two here, they actually are also protected, right? Because ultimately it's the review handlers that are actually called for both of them. And so here we also need to add that bearer token. Okay, so now basically the only way of getting access to data about reviews is to call all of the tours, right? At least for people that are not authenticated. Okay, so let's close all of this. And so I think we're now good to go. And we actually finished this part as well. Let's just clean it up here a little bit. And yeah, I think that's it. So with this, we actually finished the authentication and authorization part of all our three resources. So we're really close to finishing our API here. There's only a small amount of things left to do, and so we're going to do all of that in the rest of this section.